All right, it is 12:15, time to start the meeting. Thank you, Brigitte and Glenn, as always. Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. This is the Rotary Club of Toronto. I'm John Fortney, your club's president for 2020-2021. It's my pleasure to welcome you to our club's changeover meeting for today. After the recognition of the traditional lands and the invocation, please stay tuned for the playing of the national anthem and the loyal toast. At this time, I would like to acknowledge that we are on the traditional lands of many Indigenous peoples who have walked and cared for this land for 15,000 years. They include the Anishinaabe, the Haudenosaunee, the Huron-Wendat, and the Treaty Peoples of the Mississaugas of the Credit. As we unite today in Rotary Fellowship to celebrate the passing of office to a new president and board, let us be grateful for another successful year of giving service. As we go forward, help us to remember that unity makes us stronger, and many hands working together makes a load lighter. May our gifts and talents be put to beneficial use in our community to serve others as we have been served. And as we give thanks for our wonderful Rotary Club, let us also be grateful for this fellowship today. Thank you. And now our national anthem. If you'd like to stand, please stand. Ladies and gentlemen, the Queen. Thank you, Brigitte and Glenn. As I'm standing here, it just occurred to me, this is my first time doing the meeting from a podium. Holy smokes. Anyways, enjoy that fact. Okay, Rotarians and guests, it's now my pleasure to introduce our head table. I'm pleased to have the following people with me today. Jason Phelps, a Rotarian since 2003, classification, executive search. Jason is a senior partner with the Phelps Group. He is our outgoing vice president for the club and incoming president-elect. Donna Jones Simmons, a Rotarian since 2008, classification, retired. Donna is the chair of our member engagement committee and is sponsor of our new member, who is John Gabriel, who will be more formally introduced shortly. Jeff Dobson, Rotarian since 2001, classification, investment management. Jeff is vice president of Strathbridge Asset Management. He is a club past president, and he is also sponsor of another new member, who is Andrew St. John, who will be also more formally introduced shortly. Kevin Power, a Rotarian since 2000, classification, law practice general. Kevin is a partner with Coots Crane. He is club past president for 2019-2020, and is apparently going to have some words of wisdom for me today. Prince Kumar, Rotarian since 2010, classification, management consulting. Prince is chief executive partner with Straw Nexus Inc., and he is our incoming president, who is about to have a whole new portfolio. Ladies and gentlemen, our head table. For virtual meetings, we don't have an official monitor to introduce visiting guests and Rotarians. so I will do it. To our visiting Rotarians, thank you so much for choosing our club for your makeup. We hope that you enjoy our meeting. I do know our district governor and I believe our assistant district governor are here today, so thank you so much for coming. To all our guests, welcome to our virtual meeting today. Please feel free to contact the office and find out how you may be able to make a difference by joining us. Rotarians and guests, please welcome our visitors in the tradition of our great club. One last time, you may already know this, but in case you do not, you should be aware that these virtual Rotary meetings, that if you have your video camera on, you will show up on the recordings or live streaming. We ask that when you have the camera on, that you present a professional image, have your lunch earlier, and be aware of what's going on in the background when your camera is on. If you do not want to appear, please turn off your video. We will not be able to edit you out later. Now it is time for one of our most favorite presidential duties. We have two new members to introduce today. For our first member, I would like to ask Donna Jones-Simmons to introduce our latest new member. Over to you, Donna.
Thank you, President John. John Gabriel was born and raised in Khartoum, Sudan. He lived and studied in London, England, where he graduated from Kingston University with a bachelor's degree in civil engineering that eventually led into a career construction project management in high-rise and commercial buildings, infrastructure projects, aircraft, land navigation aids, and telecom networks. John married his wonderful wife and best friend, Sylvia. They love to cook, barbecue, and enjoy wine and Scotch whiskey together. John and Sylvia love to travel, explore diversity and different cultures. They have 2 children. For me, this sounds like a perfect match for not only for Sylvia, but also for the club. Wine, barbecue, you name it. John volunteered his time while in Khartoum, Sudan for 3 years, where he coached young YMCA members on goal setting, personal development, presentation, and communication skills. He has also been a member of the executive board of the Captain Club, Khartoum, Sudan. He coordinated the building's maintenance with contractors for the club. John participated in fundraising activities for various charities in Khartoum. He also worked with the Rotary Club and Norwegian Church Agency in the well water project in Darfur, Sudan, which we want to hear more about later. John is looking forward to becoming a very active member of our club and to promoting humanitarian services, raising awareness to the world, and promoting the youth exchange program. Welcome aboard, John. John, would you like to say a few words?
Well, Donna, thank you very much for the introduction. Hello, fellow Rotarians. Thank you for having me on board. And I'm looking forward to meeting you all and working with you all. And now back to you, President John. Thank you.
Welcome, John. We look forward to working with you in the future and getting to know you better.
Thank you.
For our second new member introduction, up next we have past President Jeff Dobson. Over to you, Jeff.
Thanks, President John. Andrew St. John was born in Cambridge and grew up in Kitchener, Ontario. He has called Toronto home for the past decade, where he runs a wealth management practice with RBC Dominion Securities. As a 5-year finance veteran with experience both at another major Canadian bank and a boutique investment management firm, he's excited by investor education and empowerment. Andrew graduated from the University of Toronto with an honors Bachelor of Arts, major economics, double minor mathematics and sociology. He had the privilege of collaborating on research published in the Undergraduate Society Journal and is passionate about how research can inform public policy to drive social change. Andrew is an avid traveler and outdoorsman, having camped on 4 continents and traveled to more than 20 countries. In 2016, Andrew suffered a brain injury following a bicycle accident. With lots of hard work and treatment, he walked the long road to recovery. This experience gave him a newfound appreciation of the support he was privileged to receive and a desire to give back to the community he calls home. Welcome aboard, Andrew. Would you like to say a few words?
I was first introduced to Rotary 2 years ago by the president of the Guelph Wellington Club. I watched from the ring and saw the impact our organization can have. I look forward to learning from this diverse group and to the opportunity we have to give back to the community we all call home. Back to you, President John.
Welcome, Andrew. We also look forward to getting to know you better, as well as working with you in the future. And I've said this all year, all the people that have joined during COVID, I thank you so much for this amazing leap of faith. You will not regret your decision. And once you get to meet us all in person, you'll have an even better time. Thank you so much. Now for some district news. The district is holding a shelter box celebration on Friday, June 25th. I know this tonight, as part of our district conference celebrations this weekend. The district will be presenting a check to Shelterbox Canada and checking in and sharing a few laughs at the events across the district. You can go to the district website for the Zoom link to check in at 8 p.m. tonight. Now we have a little deference off of the regular scheduled agenda. Rotarians, I thought I should bring you up to date on the Honors and Awards Committee. We have met, and you can expect some very amazing Rotarians being recognized in the coming year. For newer members, our club has a series of awards to recognize outstanding Rotarians and sometimes non-Rotarians and their philanthropic work in Rotary and sometimes outside of Rotary. For members who have been in the club for at least 3 years, we have the Club Builder Award. For members who have been in the club over 10 years and who already have a Club Builders Award, we have the William Peace Award. William Peace was our first president. This comes with a 5 Sapphire Paul Harris Fellowship. This is our biggest regular award, and we usually make a very, very big fuss over this, sneaking family members into the room for the presentation and such. We also have the Pauline Hill Award, funded by an endowment by and in honor of our first woman member, which is given out occasionally. When appropriate, our rarest award, the Distinguished Service Award. 2 years ago, we had some Club Builder Awards given out, but no Paul Harris William Peace Awards. These awards are not just given out, but earned. With COVID, we felt it was not appropriate time to give out awards, especially when we could not give them in person. The Honors and Awards Committee is chaired by the President-elect every year. Now, I know I said we usually make a big fuss when we give out a Paul Harris William Peace Award, but today is an exception. I'm calling presidential privilege. This was not easy as the recipient chair of the committee, and I had to go behind his back to get it done. It's very important to me that I give this one myself, so we will have to have a proper acknowledgement and standing ovation when we're together to meet in person. Prince Kumar joined our club in 2010 and received his club builder in 2015. Since then, Prince has been very busy and integral to the transformation of our club as we enter the Roaring 20s. Remember, this award is not for doing regular committee work, for doing regular attendance. This is recognition for going above and beyond. Prince was responsible for bringing Google not-for-profit to our club. At the time, it seemed a little daunting for many of us, but as the pandemic hit, the fact that most of us had been using it, our transition to a virtual club was far smoother than many other clubs. I had calls from clubs having a terrible time adapting. I told them they needed a Prince. I'm sure they didn't understand what I meant. Prince brought us Google Not-for-Profit as his role on the Strategic Planning Committee, and he was indispensable on that committee as we planned out our 3-year strategic plan, Vision 2020. Once elected vice president, one of the responsibilities was chairing the club assembly that year. He and his most capable team tackled club reform, something we have talked about and needed for many years, but we were afraid to do something about it. Having included into Vision 2020, it was a natural assembly theme. This led to the Transition Committee, tasked with restructuring a 100-plus-year-old institution, and Prince chaired that committee. Meeting times were weekly for 3 hours. A couple of times we had twice a week, not to mention hours and hours of preparation, graphs, charts, revisions, and so on. With a new structure, this is far bigger task this year. Prince was also chair of branding and communications, which was a large focus of Vision 2020 that has worked on starting in Jeff Dobson's year and is beautifully taking shape now. This involves our brand, website, social media, the voice, and so on. The president-elect is also chair of the executive committee, which Prince has chaired with ease this year. Prince is a visionary, a doer. At first, it seems that his ideas are carved in stone, but he is open to discussion, and from that, results come forward. Prince constantly updating the charts in real time. I wish you all could have been flies on the wall during those transition meetings. There was a reason they were long hours every week, as you can imagine. But as Rotarians, we came together with a plan, a very detailed plan. Starting with Kevin's last quarter and my entire year, we have been virtual. Hopefully every Friday you've attended and you saw a flawless virtual meeting, except for last week when the president's email went out. This would not have been so flawless without Prince. By the way, there were some flaws. Hopefully you didn't notice. We could not have done this without Prince. Prince was a producer and engineer every week. This included a dry run through, light sound check, and the day before the meeting. Prince, working on 3 different monitors, along with Carol and Maureen, kept the cameras rolling. One very acclaimed speaker, who's done many of these, said it was the most professional and prepared he had been to. It is my honor and pleasure to make sure Prince starts his exciting year as a William Peace Award recipient and a Paul Harris Fellow. Congratulations, Prince, and thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
The William Peace Award certificate will be coming because of COVID. We haven't been able to do it. Prince?
Wow. Well, John, I had prepared a few words for you, but not for this. Thank you. This is such an honor, and you know, the Rotary actually has given me so much more than I can ever give Rotary, and it's such an honor. It's such sorry. Wow. It's such an honor to be in this club and to be with a group of leaders, whether it's community leaders, professional leaders, personal leaders, and to come here every week and to be part of this group that really wants to give of themselves and do something better in the community. That inspires me and moves me. So thank you to each and every one of you. I don't know if I'm actually deserving of this, but thank you so much for this honor, and I really appreciate it. Thank you, John.
Don't you love surprises? I do. Okay, now we'll get back to our regular changeover agenda. I'd like to acknowledge and thank the outgoing directors for their commitment to our board. The following members joined the board in 2018. Alana Scott. During her tenure, she served in the following categories: Liaison Director for Fellowship Entertainment, Environmental and Community Services. Marg Stanowski. During her tenure, she served in the following categories as Liaison Director for our Senior Citizens, International Service, and Marketing Communications. Fabio Ventolini. During his tenure, he has served in the following categories as Liaison Director for Community Service, Fundraising, and Women's Initiatives. Annie Sandra Hamel. During her tenure, she served in the following categories as Liaison Director and for Fundraising and Rotaract. And next week, you'll hear more from Prince about Annie Sandra's vice presidential duties. Jason Phelps. During his tenure, he has served in the following categories as Liaison Director for Indigenous Service, Program, Seniors, and Rotaract. Jason is our outgoing vice president of our club and is continuing on the board as president-elect. This year, as vice president, he was chair of the club assembly and was also a member of the executive committee and the foundation board. Next week, President Prince will introduce the new directors coming on to the board. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge as well our outgoing president of Rotaract Club of Toronto, Maria Maraskowska, and the outgoing co-presidents of the Rotaract Club of the University of Toronto, Annie Yang and Christina Tang. Now, apparently, as a very special treat for me, past President Kevin Power has been asked to give me a few words of wisdom of what it means to be a past president. And I think he might be offering a toast for the past year. Kevin?
Thank you, President John. It is so great to see you leading our lunch meeting today from the podium at the National Club. You know, it's definitely not the year you would have envisioned when you signed up to be president all those years ago. Nor would today be what you would have envisioned for your final Friday meeting at the National Club. But even without a full house in person for your meeting today, or for any meeting your whole year for that fact, you have really stepped up and grown in your role this year as president. President John, you were certainly a year of firsts, a year of challenges, a year of Google Meet, Zoom, YouTube, and now on your final day, a tryout on Microsoft Teams. John, you are a master of all the platforms. Even last week, you didn't miss a beat when your camera froze and you were logged out, you logged right back in and carried on without missing a beat. Your personality and leadership has certainly shone through this year. We had meetings with challenging issues, contentious speakers. You've added your personal touches, highlighting your meetings. From the backyard at your cottage, a model home, or your new condo, even when you're unable to get your hair cut, you're right at home leading us each and every week. You've really grown into the role and led us with class and pizzazz the whole year. You definitely captained our ship through some very rough waters. And while it's not the year you were expecting, I think it's going to be a year of experiences that you will remember and cherish. But John, as you're almost ready to go to the other side, you will join many of your friends from the class of '99 that have already made the long journey. The long journey to becoming an 8x10 black and white on the wall of the Rotary office. Joining a group of esteemed past presidents that have already been put out to pasture. John, you will now have some time to relax, enjoy some time away at the cottage, and reflect on the many accomplishments this year. As you do, remember today is not a finish line. It's just another chapter in your Rotary journey, with many, many more chapters to write. We look forward to you joining us as a past president. I would like to ask everyone to join me in a toast today to John, to his hard work, and to his great success. To John.
Thank you, Kevin, for your words of wisdom. And now, Brigitte and Glenn also have a surprise for me. Over to you, Brigitte and Glenn.
Just checking you have your box of Kleenex ready? Yeah. In Rotary, our leader is a person we hold dear. The president just for a term. Thank God it is a year. Rotarians teach your children to do as we have done. Love all the rest, select the best. That's how we got our John. He really is a softie.
His lovely curly locks will miss, his charm and sense of style. But the largest part is his great big heart and his warm, inclusive smile. He smiles that smile most every week. It really is quite cute. It fits his face and favorite words. And don't forget to mute. He's always giving back. He is fair to all concerned. Look after others, he was taught, and from his daddy learned. And when you smile, that charming smile, the whole world is in awe. 'Cause boy, you are amazing, just the way you are. Love you, John. Thank you.
Thank you, Brigitte and Glenn. Love you too so much. You always put a smile on our face when you do these very special songs. All right, everyone got a drink, sitting down, ready for the speech? Wow, what a year. The president year actually starts to get intense in the months leading up to it. This past Rotary year was dramatically intensified due to COVID-19. You've already heard about the 30 to 40 hours a week on Google Meets and Zoom, plus the countless phone calls that we had last March through June. I actually had to put in a virtual doctor's appointment as all the added time on the computer had strained my neck and shoulders. Thanks to some temporary meds and repositioning my computer, that all got worked out. At the same time as my year was ramping up, my father, like most sons, I loved him very much, admired him greatly, and genuinely enjoyed being around him. And he was ill. Oof. Dad was palliative for those initial months and passed away just as we hit changeover. Possibly the most emotional presidential takeover in Rotary Club of Toronto history. It was a lot, but I made it through. The outpouring of support and love from members gave me strength. My inaugural speech is still our most attended meeting with over 1,200 views. It was a gift that I was able to be there for my dad and my wonderful stepmom, as this new virtual world allowed this to happen. Thus began the Fortney era at the Rotary Club of Toronto. The COVID grants from the $300,000 our foundation put up continued into my year as we tried to help frontline charities caught in a lurch because of the new pandemic protocols. Soon became obvious that virtual was going to be our world for most of the year, most likely the whole year. It's really hard to describe what it's like to finally become president and not be with anybody from the club the entire time. Periodically, I got messages or phone calls of support that were very appreciated. The last few weeks, there have been quite a few. Thank you. They meant so much. The same goes for last Tuesday's farewell event. It gave me much needed reaction to my year. I really had no idea. Probably the most significant realization of this unprecedented year was the absolute resilience, resourcefulness, and strength of our club. Early on, with COVID, two significant indicators of this for me were the rapid and generous response from our club's foundation and the swift action of our fellowship committee. We had immediate and substantial reaction for both the community needs and for our Rotary family needs. These fellowship events, led by the formidable Pat Newman, continued throughout the year in a variety of activities: dinner club, euchre, wine club, gardening, book club, even therapy sessions. The foundation's response signaled to the city that we cared and we were there regardless. The fellowship events signaled to our members we were there for each other regardless. I believe they set the tone for our year. Garen and I were regulars at the dinner club, which was weekly at the beginning of COVID, organized by Neil Phillips. He also organized the wine club and the Scotch tasting. We enjoyed fantastic meals and had fun sharing our experiences with our Rotarians. The recipes were from Neil's partner, Marty Michael's book, Eat, Live, Travel, Right. And they were all incredible. Some of them we've remade quite often. When I was elected, I was wondering how I'm going to balance summer at the cottage and making it to meetings on Friday. Turned out this was not going to be a problem. I was at the cottage most of the last 15 months and never missed a meeting. Another gift of the virtual reality we found ourselves in. You have to look for the positives, right? One of our club's strong attractions are the consistent, high-quality speakers we attract every week. This year, the program committee, under the sage leadership of Bert Steenberg, did not fail us. In fact, I think the virtual nature of the meetings allowed some speakers that may not have been able to make it to Toronto in person, such as Sarwar Kashmiri, who spoke to us from New Hampshire. His talk on Canada, the US, China, and geopolitics was fascinating. We had some lighter, fun, entertaining fare, such as the always magnificent Liberty Silver, and Jeffrey's exciting Caribbean extravaganza, complete with delivered lunch. Despite COVID, we forged ahead with heady topics, never afraid to push the envelope or shy away from ugly topics. We were even scolded by an American Rotarian who saw we were hosting Andrew Phillips from the Toronto Star to discuss the carnage of Donald Trump as he left the White House. Personally, our first meeting back after the Christmas holidays in January was especially moving and poignant for me. Reverend Brent Hawks was very personal with his topic, organized religion and homophobia. It was powerful, emotional, moving, and taboo. Speaking of powerful, impactful, and informative, definitely a topic that has been avoided for far too long, was our impactful anti-racism series over 3 weeks. How proud were you to be from this club? That series reached a wide audience and gained a lot of recognition and exposure for our club. I can't wait to see where we take this really important and urgent topic. We were inspired by the likes of the STEAM sisters. Remember, science, technology, engineering, art, and math. Investing, oops, I missed a page. Dave Dame, the physically challenged leadership coach from Scotiabank, was compelling. Dan Carter, the amazing mayor of Oshawa, from homelessness and addiction to the mayor's office, powerful. How could you not leave any of those meetings without a new perspective on life? On the business front, we had the head of the Toronto Yonge Street BIA. We had insight into clean investing. We had the owner of a sustainable and successful organic winery. The health front, we heard how COVID was affecting the Indigenous community. We learned about Alzheimer's. And we had Toronto's Chief Medical Officer of Health, Dr. Davila. We were able to hold our special annual days. Scholarship Day, so proud. Foundation Day, always informative. International Women's Day this year was incredibly powerful. It was just moving. Remembrance Day, where I was streaming alone from here in the main dining room at the National Club all by myself. Most recently, National Indigenous Peoples Day, which was very moving and most poignant. How about that U of T debating team? Absolutely inspiring. We almost had an in-person meeting, hosting our very own Bill Murari and a history of the National Club. Unfortunately, being president, I had to pull the plug on that, being in person. Bill rose to the occasion, as he always does, and we had a great presentation. Being virtual, it was nice to still enjoy some celebrations too. Early December, I was roasted in a very unique game show style. Thank you, Kevin, Neil, and everyone. Donna Jones Simmons hosted a wonderful Christmas party. Every time we worried that something cherished, like the Christmas party, what it would be like virtually, the organizer always blew us away. The Easter President's Cocktail Party fell on my milestone birthday, and I don't think I was the only one that had an amazing time. Kudos to the National Club, the performers, and the organizers, Jason and Jeffrey, for putting on such a great experience. Last week, you all touched me in a very special and needed way with a wonderful farewell party. Thank you, Anna Sandra, Jeffrey, Jason, and again, the National Club. Probably the most important lunch for me was the senior members recognition lunch. I had an idea based on a conversation with Margot Morgan about Michael's 50 years with the club coming up in June. And I wanted to honor him and the other incredible longtime members who have done so much and left us this amazing legacy. Thank you to Steve Smith, Nicely Eugene, and Randy Gunn for taking an idea and making such a memorable occasion. I also want to thank Onville Catering for getting those amazing meals and the bubbles out to the honorees. There were so many more, including Neil Hetherington from the Daily Bread Food Bank, Animomi Paul, leader of the Green Party, our district governor, Mark Chipman, the list goes on. Did I mention that this speech was going to go on until supper time? I'm practicing to be a good past president. One disaster that happened that was overshadowed in the news by COVID and American politics was the volcano that erupted in St. Vincent. I wanted to do something, and as Shelterbox, our usual go-to in these situations, did not have a response for there, I asked our executive if we could help. So we donated $10,000 from our Phil Fund, and I asked the ever-efficient Marine Bird to look into the district response, and we ultimately put out a challenge to our members and the entire district to match our donation. That was more than exceeded. To date, we have raised just over $26,000 has been sent to St. Vincent, with contributions from across the district, both clubs and from individuals. I might add that a few of our members were particularly generous. There is a movement for greater cooperation within the district, which matches perfectly with our last strategic plan, Vision 2020, which calls for us to work more with corporations, other charities, and other Rotary clubs. Despite a pandemic, economic uncertainty, and high levels of anxiety, our club not only persevered, it flourished. This was a perfect storm of branding, a significant increase in social media activity, our ability to manage a virtual world, all which resulted in a greater internet presence. Add to that, an increased desire by many to give back after months of reflection led to a dramatic increase in potential new members. The hard work of Dawn Marie King and Donna Jones Simmons and the new member engagement committee meant we were prepared for the influx, and we have managed it very well. I am hopeful that when final numbers are in, we will be in a net increased position with membership, and we have more than a dozen in the hopper. I think this might be the first time in many years. Excuse me. Our move to Google Meets a couple of years ago prepared us for going virtual, and our transition was much easier than other clubs. Our show team, Prince Kumar, Marine Bird, and Carol Hutchinson, week in and week out, had our Friday meeting running smoothly. This included a dry run for lighting, sound, and muting lessons every Thursday before the meeting. Meetings began with a musical prelude by our own diva, Brigitte Bogar, and pianist extraordinaire Glenn Davis. This gave members entertainment as others were joining into the meetings. They spent many time practicing, planning, and performing. And not to mention their special fun songs, like my throne speech and my birthday song, and now the one they just sang for me. Always, always fun. After them, I followed with 5 minutes of president chat. It was my way of connecting with as many members as I could while we weren't together. Maureen Bird, with her helpers, and I believe a really big shout out goes to new member Natalie Soroka, got the voice out every week on time in a new format, bursting with information. Our foundation barreled on. Last I heard, we were just exceeding $23 million. Excellent stewardship by Susan Howson and then Rick Goldsmith. Being on the foundation board was one of the most interesting things I've ever done in Rotary. There has been a dearth of requests coming in, so our Research and Appeals Committee shook the charitable bushes and requests have started coming in. The Rotary Club of Toronto Charitable Foundation is in business. Last month alone, we approved $130,000 in appeals, and more are being worked on currently. There has been a more concerted effort to work closer with the club and aligning strategies. Likewise, the club is working with the foundation and setting up new structures and committees. This is probably a good time for some thank yous. If I miss anyone, and I'm sure I will, you know I appreciated everybody. Like all celebrities, I had my entourage, at least virtually. The continual support, conversations, check-ins, sounding boards with Jason Phelps, Suzanne Sequist, Rohit Tamani, Michelle Guy, Susan Housen, and Jeffrey Johnson were a godsend. The notes of support or encouragement throughout the year from an array of members were gas for my engine. My employer, Harvey Callis Real Estate, and colleagues like Kim Thorne and Howard Biederman, who covered my slack when needed, eased my stress. The team, President Kevin, President-elect Prince, VP Jason, my incredible board, and life would not be worth living without the indomitable Carol. I only had one of the usual presidential trips. I got to go to the large club conference with Carol. That is typically where the president and the executive director bond, plan out the upcoming year, liaison directors, chairs, direction, personality traits, potential issues, and plans for the year ahead. I feel we had a wonderful working relationship, and I know Carol worked exceptionally hard this year, missing most of her holidays to boot. We had a lot of laughs, and I always knew she had my back. Thank you, Carol. Oh, Belly, you are a dream accountant. We are so lucky to have had you this year. Thank you for so much. Working remotely, putting up with difficult audit, getting new auditors, waiting outside year-round in front of the Royal York for us to come down and sign checks. Always cheerful, always helpful. Thank you to you, the club members. I think it's wine this time. Thank you, club members, for putting your trust in me. It wasn't the year we were expecting, but we came out okay. Actually, we came out stronger. Thank you to Mark Chipman, our hardworking district governor, Iosif Kiosa, our assistant governor, and my fellow district presidents. We made it through. Of course, oh boy. I have to thank my support at home. I know Garen was disappointed for me when COVID hit, but his support, encouragement, and pride for what I was able to do was heartwarming. He did this all while looking after my stepmom and I as we were grieving, and he made sure that all of our firsts this year were easy and as special as possible. There were times when it was all a bit overwhelming, but we made it through. Now it is time for a prince to become a king. Prince, I am leaving the reins in very capable hands, and if I'm wrong, I know Carol was there to fix things. I wish you and your outstanding board a very successful year, hopefully one eventually with many in-person activities. Welcome everyone to the Kumar era. Oops, missing a page. Okay. I'd like to invite incoming President Prince to take over the agenda and now take the oath of presidential office.
Thank you again, John. That was truly incredible. So for the presidential oath, I, Prince Kumar, as president of the Rotary Club of Toronto, will, to the best of my ability, administer the duties of the office of president in a businesslike manner and in accordance with the club's constitution and bylaws. Well, thank you, John, and again, thank you everyone. I have to say, it is likely a rarity in Rotary to have a president who, despite everything that you went through, John, never missed one single meeting. That was just incredible. Too incredible, John. Now, I would like to pass things over to past President Kevin Power for some special presentation to past President John. Over to you, Kevin.
Thank you, Prince. First off, congratulations, Prince. Congratulations on a very well-deserved Paul Harris and William Peace Award. And also congratulations on assuming the role of president of our great club. For you, John, we have a few parting gifts for you. Unfortunately, I can't be there today to do it in person. So I'd like to ask Prince if you could hand to John the gift bag. John, I hope you'll be able to take the time and enjoy the gifts that are in there today.
Open them now.
And your achievements from an excellent year. Thank you.
Okay. Oh my.
Well, thank you, John.
That's the new one. That's the new one. Put it on.
Oh, wonderful.
And while I'm, thank you. And while I'm at it, I should give Prince the president's pin.
John, my friend and advisor, you never had unreasonable expectations from any of us. You were always thrilled when a member or a project succeeded. You gave your all to help us. You have an incredible repertoire of carefully categorized photos, memoirs, achievements, and history of this club. We have to bring him in as a historian for this club in one of our speaker series. You always spread our messages to the world on social media. You brought an infectious smile and joy to us all. But most importantly, you were there unconditionally, always. And on behalf of the club, I thank you from all of us. Rotarians and guests, next week, we do not have a Friday meeting. Instead, on Wednesday, June 30th, at 5:30 p.m., we have the President's Cocktail Hour. I would recommend you put on your dancing shoes. I hear we're going to be taught a move or two. We'll find out more as part of our celebrations. And while we haven't been able to go to Taipei this year, where the Rotary International Convention was, I would suggest you bring in a Taipei-inspired drink to the President's Cocktail. Following week, on July 9th, we will be starting at 12 noon sharp with some new exciting elements to our meeting, reintroducing our club board members and empowering year ahead. You will hear it being termed as my throne speech meeting. I tell you that it has nothing to do with my name, of course. We will also have special guests, including an entire Rotary Club from Africa, joining us for a joint collaborative challenge. So you certainly don't want to miss this. And hot off the press, approved not just by our outgoing, but both our outgoing and incoming club board members, I have been bestowed the opportunity to talk about our Vision 2023, our modification to our mission and values. And with that, have a wonderful weekend, everyone. This meeting is adjourned.